Hello everyone, and welcome to the 5th workshop on e-portfolios or web folios or any other incarnation of portfolio type application. Effectively, as we discussed in the lecture, what we're going to do is put together a website that effectively showcases your CV, who you are, and demonstrates your engineering ability. Now, obviously, being in first year, you'll only have a couple of examples of that at the moment, but the idea of this is that I show you how to update and maintain your PebblePad e-portfolio, and you would do that throughout the 4 years, such that when you perhaps end of second year, end of third year applying for VACPRAC, you've got a very effective mechanism to apply for those jobs, and at the end of your degree you've got a very effective way to showcase your skills that you've acquired throughout the degree when applying for graduate positions. Now, as I said, we are going to use PebblePad. PebblePad is a free website type portfolio software that JCU pays for, and you have access to through various different means. One is through the Workshop 5 ePortfolios folder that I put on Learn JCU. You can just click on the Pebble Plus logo there, and that will open up to PebblePad. And this is our PebblePad interface. It's effectively a content management system for a somewhat restricted website. And so we will be creating that. Just close that. Now, the other ways you can do it, obviously on your left-hand menu here, we've got a PebblePad icon, and you can also go directly to PebblePad with the URL, and I think I wrote it down here, www.pebblepad.com.au/JCU, and that'll get there directly too. But obviously the easiest way is just through this interface. Now, on the folder on Learn JCU, I've put some resources for you. So the first thing we're going to do is navigate around that a little bit and work out what I've given you. And then we're going to work our way through building your web folio. Now, this folder here, Extra Resources, is just some YouTube videos on PebblePad. There's 3 pretty good ones there. You can go on YouTube and you'll find about 20 more. So if there's something specific that you want to do that I haven't covered in the future, then feel free just to go to YouTube and track that down. There's lots of really good resources. PebblePad's used by many universities, so there's lots of people putting these sorts of things together. Obviously, the icon for PebblePad will get us to where we need to go with that. I'm building the screencast currently, obviously, so you'll have the screencast videos here as well, but then you'll have these 3 resources. Now, the first one, if you click on that, is a PDF, and this is our flowchart of what our web folio is going to look like. Now, when you're building a website, anyone that's done any IT type things in the past, or anyone that perhaps goes into that through electrical engineering in the future, it's very useful to have a flowchart for a website. What we're building is effectively a website, so writing down a flowchart is very helpful. So this is our web folio. You'll have a URL that we'll create that you can supply to employers, and the URL is what you'll be actually submitting to me through Learn JCU at the end. And then you'll come up, and on that front web page there'll be 3 menus on the left. The first one will be personal information, and that'll come up straight away. The second one will be CV, and the third one will be technical competence, and that'll be all of the different examples of how good you are as an engineer. Under CV, we'll have to build a bunch of elements around things like qualifications and who you are and things like that, and I'll talk about that in PebblePad when we're doing it. And under web folio, we'll have a whole range of different types of experience. Now, this is just a suggestion. Effectively, this entire web folio you can do completely differently if you wish. It's really up to you, but in this workshop we're going to do it this way because that way it's very easy for me to show you, and you get quite detailed guidance. But once you get to second year, you can change it however you want. You can delete these. You can have 5 menus on the front rather than 3, or whatever you want. It's purely completely up to you how you structure your web folio. Now, under the technical competence, these different menus around. So that's a summary. Engineering design, you guys have done a bridge design. Haven't done any engineering analysis yet. You've done quite a bit of technical drawing, so we'll have a few examples of that. Software development, you could possibly do this if you wanted to put an example from EG1002 up. Lab experience, you might be doing some labs in PH1005 when you get to that. You could possibly put some lab reports and things up there. Communication skills, you've done a bridge report, so we're going to use that. We're going to create a blog that you can reflect on teamwork and management, which is a really effective way to showcase that. And then I've got this collection here for professional experience. So once you do VACPRAC and that sort of thing, it'll be a useful place to throw your VACPRAC reports and certificates and things like that up as well to demonstrate the professional side of your degree. Now, this obviously isn't an exhaustive list. You can add or subtract or do whatever you want to manage this in the future, but this is where we're going to start. It's a fairly good list to be starting to fill from first and second year. And so this is the structure that we're going to build our website around, so it's useful to have that PDF open. The next thing, ePortfolio example content. Now, obviously in your ePortfolio, what you're going to have is all your own drawings and your own reports and your own content, your own profile picture, all of that kind of stuff. Now, I expect that most of you will have brought some of that to the workshop. I also expect that many of you won't have all of the different types of content and pictures and things like that that you'd like to put in this and that you're going to be able to do in this workshop. So what we're going to do is I've got all of my content in a zip file in this link, and if you don't have a particular piece or item, then use mine and then go ahead and replace it in the next week or so before you submit the actual final web folio. So obviously you need all of your content in your web folio when you submit it. You'll have over a week, most of you, to submit this thing, and I'll talk more about the due date, but I've got all of my files that you can use in this workshop just to get used to the interface, and then you can go and very easily change whichever files you choose to in the future. So if you click on that, your computer will come up with the option to download, you'll see, and you can save that zip file. I just popped it on my desktop. You can put it wherever you like. Alright, so that's that. And then this is the portfolio map generator. It's a little executable, a little program that I made that I suggest you all download, because what it is, and if we click on that, it'll allow us to save it somewhere. And let's just save it to, I put that ePortfolio content folder on my desktop. So let's just throw it in that portfolio map generator, save. Now if I open that folder up, and this is my folder, you'll see I've got portfolio map generator. If I double click on that, it'll open up this. And you remember that in the lecture we talked about the Engineers Australia Stage 1 Competency Standard? Well, these are all the elements of competence that you looked at in class, and if I was to click this PDF icon, it will even open the full document up for you for reference, and we might need that open as well. So 1.1, comprehensive theory-based understanding, blah blah blah, okay? And so what this program allows us to do is, if you're uploading, say, a SolidWorks drawing that you've done, what I want you to do is each page that you use, so you'll have a page for that SolidWorks drawing or sets of drawings, I want you to also use this software and map what you've done to the Stage 1 Competency Standard. It's a reflective process. It's something that Engineers Australia want us to teach you and have you do, such that you start to manage your own learning towards the competence that you need as a graduate engineer. Now, there are obviously all of the levels of competence across the top there, and then I've got 3 different areas: developing, functional, and proficient. Effectively, most of what you're doing in first year will be developing. So developing is an aspect of practice that you are learning with guidance from lecturers, tutors, learning resources, advisors, etc. So basically, if I've got a screencast or told you how to do something like most of the SolidWorks type workshops, then you're on that developing. Functional is basically that you can use it, an aspect of practice in which you have a basic capability to apply at an acceptable standard without supervision. So, for example, the SolidWorks drawing you guys did of your bridge, I didn't tell you explicitly how to do that. That's much more at a functional, you are applying it level. So for that example, you might be clicking functional. Proficient is an aspect of practice you apply fluently and have the capacity to help others develop in their capacity in. So effectively, if you know something really well and could teach someone else, then proficient is where you're clicking. Now, if we're talking about SolidWorks, we're talking maybe by sort of third year, once you've done third year design or something like that, if you're a mech, then you'd probably be pretty proficient in SolidWorks by then, and so that's where you're clicking that box. I wouldn't expect that you'd be clicking that box in first year, certainly in this subject. So you think about how developed you are in it and which capabilities you ticked doing it. So if we were talking about, let's say, the bridge SolidWorks drawing that you did, then let's have a look through the competence. I would say that any type of technical drawing would be 2.2, fluid application of engineering techniques, tools and resources. So SolidWorks is a tool and drawing's a technique, so that would definitely be 2.2. So in the software, if it was functional, because I haven't told you how to do it explicitly, 2.2, click a box. Also, drawing is effective oral and written communication in blah blah blah, 3.2. And once again, that's probably in the order of functional for that bridge one, and for all the other ones it'd be about developing, because I'm showing you how to do it. But by the time you did that bridge, let's assume that you're applying knowledge you have rather than just being told what to do. Then what you do is click Create Map. It'll ask you to save it somewhere. So let's go to that ePortfolio folder. We'll just put that in the front there, and say, call it test portfolio map for this example. And then what it actually does is save you a little JPEG like that. And this is the little JPEG with the 2 ticks in the boxes that you then upload and put on the page that has the SolidWorks drawing that you just mapped. So that every single page will have one of these little portfolio mapping diagrams as well as the content. And then we'll have one that summarizes everything. If we go back to our PDF, we were talking, remember, we have this competence summary page. You'll have all of the ticks that you've achieved thus far on that, and once again we use this little software and you just tick as many little boxes as you've actually achieved, and then create a different map. So I'll show you how we use that as we go along, but this is just a helpful little bit of software that lets you demonstrate how you've achieved your competence. Rather than just put a bunch of images up and say, yes, this is effective engineering, you can actually demonstrate how proficient, hopefully by the end of your degree, you are in all of these different categories of what it is to be a graduate engineer. All right, so that's what this little map generator software does. All right, so that's all 3 of those little bits of content, and now what we're going to do is go into PebblePad and we're going to start building. If you look at your flowchart, we're going to build from the top down. So we're going to build a web folio. We're going to name it based on your name and a little bit of information, and then we're going to create pages and content and so forth, and we'll go from there. All right, but that will be in the next screencast.